I've been sports betting for 12 years, and I can tell you right now, the biggest reason I eventually became successful wasn't because I got better at picking winners. It was because I changed 4 habits. That's it. 4 habits. That's the difference between the guy that's been losing for 3 years wondering what he's doing wrong and the guy who's actually building something special and profiting long term. I blew my bankroll twice before I figured these out. Twice! And if I had understood these 4 things when I started, I would have saved myself years of frustrations and money. So if you're serious about this, stay with me. Because by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly what separates a bettor who survives long term and one who doesn't. When I first started sports betting, I thought I had the edge because I knew sports. I watched games, I followed teams, and I knew the rosters. And I thought that was enough, but it really wasn't. The first time I blew my bankroll, I blamed bad luck, and I lost $40,000. The second time I had to be honest with myself. It wasn't bad luck, it was me. My decisions, my habits, and my mindset. That's when I changed everything. I stopped treating this like gambling, where you hope you're just right. And I started treating it like an investment. Process-driven, disciplined, and patient. And that shift is what these 4 habits come from. Let's get into it. The first habit is bankroll management. And I know everybody says this, but most people don't actually do it. I didn't at first. Here's what I used to do. I'd set aside money for betting, and then I just bet whatever felt right. Big games on Sunday, I'm throwing 300 to 500 on it. Had a rough week, I'm trying to bet more to make it all back. That's not bankroll management. That's just chaos with a sports angle. The problem isn't losing a bet. That is going to happen. Even the sharpest bettors in the world lose 40 to 45% of the time. Losing is part of the business. The problem is really losing too much on one bet and not having enough left to recover. So here's what I changed. I started using units. 1 unit is 1 to 2% of your total bankroll. That's your standard bet, and you don't deviate from that no matter how confident you feel, no matter how good the line may look. One game should never have the ability to destroy you or your bankroll. That's the rule I live by now. If I have a $1,000 bankroll, I'm betting $10 to $20 per play. Not 100, not 200, 10 to 20. And here's a real example. A few years ago, I thought I had a lock. I was certain that it wasn't going to lose. And guess what happened? It lost. And it didn't just hurt my account, it hurt my confidence. It changed how I bet the next 3 days. One bad bet cascaded into a full bad week. Not because betting was bad, but because I sized wrong on that one game. Protecting your bankroll protects your ability to stay in the game long term. That is the whole point. And you really can't win long term if you're always starting over. And if you've ever had a bet wipe out a whole week's worth of wins, you already know what I mean. Habit number 2 is one I had to learn the hard way. Never chase your losses. This one has costed me more money than any other mistake. And I've talked to hundreds of bettors. This is the number 1 thing that destroys people. And here's how it usually goes. You lose a game, maybe 2, and then something kicks in. This feeling that you're owed a win, that you're due for one. Like if the universe needs to balance out your bets. So you start increasing your bet sizes. You look for a quick game to get your money back. You start making bets that you normally wouldn't make just because you need a win right now. And that, my friend, is revenge betting. And that's a trap. Vegas wants you to do that. I remember a stretch where I lost 4 days in a row. 4 days. And I kept telling myself, it's going to turn. I just need one big win to get back to even. By the time I stopped, I wasn't trying to recover 4 bad days anymore. I was trying to recover 4 bad days plus the damage I did chasing. The losses compound when you chase. The wins don't. Here's what I do now. I treat losses exactly the same way I treat wins. I log it, I review the decision, not the result, the decision, and I move on. If the process was right and the results was wrong, that's variance and it's part of the game. And that is not a reason to panic. You move on and you come back tomorrow with a fresh head and bet the same size again. That's it. The market is going to be there tomorrow. There will always be another game. The only thing that decides whether you're still around to bet is whether you controlled yourself today. If chasing losses has ever cost you more than the original loss itself, drop a comment below. I guarantee you I'm not the only one in this room who's been there. Habit number 3 is the one that changed my results the most. Stop betting on feelings. Start betting with a system. When I started, I would just look at myself and ask myself this question. Who's better and who do I think wins? And I would bet that. The problem is, the sportsbooks already know who's better. The line already reflects who's better. If you're just picking winners based on your gut or your sport knowledge, you're not getting value. You're just guessing, and that typically leads to losses. What I started doing instead is building a repeatable process that I follow every day. Every game that I look at goes through the same checklist. I start by forming my own opinion before looking at any lines. And I ask myself, what do I think the line should be? Then I go check the market. Where's the line currently sitting? Where did it open and where has it moved? Then I look at the betting splits. Who's the public on and who's the sharps on? If the public is hammering one side and the line is moving the other way, that tells me something. Then I look at recent form, not the season stats. Momentum matters. What have these teams done in the last 2 to 3 weeks? Then matchup data, of course. Injuries, if it's baseball, pitching, and bullpen situations, because those matter more than almost anything else in the sport. Only after I've gone through all of that do I make a decision, and there's a lot more to it. And here's why I built Profit Edge. After years of pulling this information from 6-7 websites, I got tired of it. I wanted everything in one place. The splits, the line movement, recent form matchup data, AI analysis, bankroll tracking, props, pitching, and bullpen data, all in one dashboard. So I built it because I couldn't find a platform that had everything I actually needed in one place. I'm not going to turn this into a commercial, but that's the honest reason why it exists. I built it for myself first, and then made it available for people who wanted to use the same process I use. The goal of a system is not to win every bet. It's to make sure every bet is a quality decision. That is exactly what systems do. They take the emotions out of the equation and replace it with information. And if you're still making picks based on who you think is better without checking what the market is actually telling you, this is the habit that's probably costing you the most money right now. I left the link below for Profit Edge so you can try it out for $1 today. And this is the last one. I want you to really hear this one because nobody talks about this. Know when not to bet. I spent years thinking that being a serious bettor meant you got to bet every single day. Lots of games, always active, parlays, props, money lines. And that's completely wrong. Some days I open up my process, go through the checklist on 4 or 5 games, and by the end I haven't found a single bet worth taking. And I don't bet that day. I close my laptop and go on with my day. And that sounds simple, but it took me years to be able to do. Because the temptation, especially when you've been winning, is to force action. You feel like you're leaving money on the table if you don't bet that day. You feel like something has to be good for today. Most of the time when I feel that way, it's because I'm bored, not because there's an edge. And boredom is one of the worst reasons to place a bet. Here's the other side of this. Sometimes you need to take a full day off. Take a stop. If you've had a bad week, if you're emotionally compromised, if your head is not right, you should not be betting. I walked away from a game 5 minutes before kickoff because something didn't feel right in my read. I've passed on entire slates because I couldn't find a clean situation at times. And some of those games I passed on would have won, and that is fine. The goal is not to be right every single time. The goal is to protect your process so you can stay profitable over months and years, not just 1 week. Successful bettors don't bet more, they bet better. Fewer bets, higher quality, more patience. That's the mindset. And if you've ever placed a bet just because you were bored or because you felt like you had to do something, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So let's bring this all together. 4 habits. Number 1, bankroll management, because you can't win long term if you're always starting over. Number 2, never chasing losses because emotional decisions compound into damage. Number 3, following a system, not your feelings, because information beats instincts every time. And number 4, knowing when not to bet, because discipline means walking away from bad spots, not just making good bets. Winning long-term in sports betting is not about just one pick. It's not about a hot streak. It's about building habits that protect you when things go wrong, and they will go wrong. And that keeps you sharp when the right opportunities come. That is a whole philosophy. Invest, don't gamble. And if you want to use the same tools, the same data, the same process that I've been using, that's what Profit Edge is. Betting split, line movements, recent forms, bullpen, pitchers, AI system, bankroll calculator, you name it. Everything in one place so you're not bouncing between 6 tabs trying to build a picture. I built it because I needed it, and it's available to you right now. The link is in the description below. You can try it out for $1 today, and you get all of my analysis every single day in the training tab, AI assistance, and a lot more. That's all I've got for today. If this video helped you, hit the like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.